Hello and welcome back to the Schooner Pod. I'm your host Bobby Howard. With me, as always, we got Jameson, we got Ty, and folks, college football is over. It's kind of sad, but it's finally done. Congratulations to the Georgia Bulldogs on winning their first national championship in 41 years, with a just enthralling, excellent game against the Alabama Crimson Tide. We'll talk a little bit about that, a little bit of the transfer portal, and of course, how we can't not talk Caleb Williams as well. But let's get this thing started. Jameson, your thoughts on the national title last night, and are you sad to see the season over?
You know what? It's been a long season, to be completely honest with you. You know how long ago it felt that Caleb Williams was running in Texas game and making me shed one man tear in the stands at the Cotton Bowl? That feels forever ago. It's sad to see it go, but it has its time. But honestly, we can talk about the game. You can listen to analysis about college football, national championship elsewhere. Let's talk about the real meat, Bobby. I want to hear, what do you think about Stetson Bennett taking a rip of some 23-year aged Pappy, which is what, like $8,000 for a bottle? Like $9,000 maybe?
I mean, it is truly just madman behavior. That is the most expensive pull everyone's had, like anybody has had in their life. Truly baffling. That man was on fire last night, rolling into this morning on Good Morning America. My guy, channeling his inner Rusty Ranks, beers. It was truly great. I am proud of him for carrying on the Burrow tradition of getting absolutely plastered after you win it all. Di, what do you think about the Pappy? What is your ruling on the Pappy? Is that too expensive for a poll?
I love it. I love it, and I think it's kind of a smart flex because you want to have that sort of like flex moment when you win it, and you think back to other like iconic flex moments, and if you want to flex the money, Joe Burrow flexing his cigar, but like you can't look at that and know, like, is it a $5 cigar? Is it, obviously it was an expensive cigar, but it doesn't have the name recognition of Pappy, So I think it's cool. I mean, he does what he does. He won the championship, was doubted a lot, including during the game. So he earned it for sure.
Honestly, as much as like the third, fourth quarter when he had that fumble, I was just like, this guy is just not it. But just a really resilient performance. If not inconsistent, I still think it was inconsistent, but that's fine. It was pretty good for From 4? What From has Bennett?
It's probably
he
is
both 4 and 6.
He is both 4 and 6. That's right, because he lost his he is like, how does that? I'm trying to think of another system.
It's like presidents. It's like presidents.
That's true.
Like in their numbering system. Yeah. So
Please tell me you saw what Jake Fromm did in the NFL in his one sole start this season. It might have been one of the most ugly performances I've seen from a quarterback.
I have not seen that. What happened?
I'm pretty sure he started for the New York Giants, and I think he passed for 60 yards. I'm gonna double check it. It was something bad. I'm gonna look it up. Let me hop out for a bit.
Oh, that is quite pathetic. Oh, that's not good.
But yeah, it was the game, as we're on the topic real quick before we move on. I was pretty alarmed in the first half for sure. I was sitting there going, "Oh my goodness, we have turned the clock back to 2007 SEC. Like, we're gonna see double digits on neither side, and it's just going to be solved by kicking." I didn't have a whole lot of hope that there would be a touchdown scored at any point during the game. So I'm glad it cleaned it up there at the end a little bit.
It was definitely feeling like the Alabama LSU game of the century from 2011. But it really picked up, and it's the case of just two really excellent defenses going at each other, and honestly, I wouldn't say flawed offenses, but offenses that, without Jameson Williams, especially with Alabama, just didn't have the same zip to them. I felt like Bryce Young was overthrowing, making bad reads. I don't know. I and then obviously Bennett was Stetson Bennett, but that's just how it is. That's how college football is going to be. These big boy teams are going to kill you on defense and do their best on offense. I feel like that archetype is what OU is building in with Brent Venables and Jeff Lebby. Kind of flashy offense, but more importantly, a really solid, good defense with NFL caliber, size.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to point out real quick was, we lost Lincoln Riley, obviously, and we're going to get into maybe some potential outflows again. But like we saw, and you can't discount the fact that Bama literally had the Heisman winning quarterback, and all of their offensive stars will most certainly make it to the next level and play successfully there, and many of Georgia's as well. But what we saw, as we've been seeing for a long time, is that it's cliche to say, but defense wins the championships. That was, like you said, the deciding factor in this game. A team could not have come into this game with a flawed. I always like to use the 2017, OU. We could not have come in with a really flawed team that was relying on just super electric, scrappy offense to kind of get us some luck in through there. The era of those teams being competitive or winning national championships is long gone with the way that college football has gone. So it was comforting as an OU fan, I will say the least, to see this performance and see the national championship be decided in a defensive, very, cerebral defensive sort of struggle, trying to out-scheme each other and really just at the very end get that edge where things came together, but it really was a defensive fight.
Well, I think it really hammered in a very definitive point, and something I think that makes college football a little different than the NFL in a way. You can win a national championship with a mediocre to bad quarterback. I don't think you can win one with no good defense. If you have a bad defense, you aren't going to be able to make it really on that run. In the NFL, you definitely need both, but quarterback, it obviously helps, but it's not as I don't know, cut and dry, where it's like you cannot win a title without like elite talent at QB, and I think that's
I'm not going to allow that. Stetson Bennett is an elite talent at QB, and that's who won. So I don't get your train of thought here.
Is Stetson Bennett elite?
No,
the rings argument. It's the rings argument.
This is such a recency bias. Like, Stetson Bennett did not have a good first half. He did not play that extravagantly this season. And then he ends it well. And guess what? Everyone's singing his praise. Look how hard he worked. Look at this storyline. Wow, the walk-on, the hard working, all of that's great. But he's been getting, pretty much shit on this whole season. And then as long as you end up winning and a lot of your other guys on your team play really well, especially that defensive line killed it for Georgia, and making just a couple of plays, those 2 touchdown passes for Stetson Bennett, the whole mantra can change for him.
Yeah, and that's basically what happened. Things flipped for him because he did have a bad game until the very end where he threw a couple moon balls. But what won that game was the defense. Georgia's defense was absolutely remarkable. They were who we thought they were, and it was good to see them, get that redemption. And I think first of all, it's hard to beat the same team twice because you have tape on it, and Georgia responded. They recovered, and you got to give a lot of props to them. I don't know. I would say just excellent night. I think Indianapolis, by the way, awful location. I don't know. I feel like college football is just such a wonderful, fun, colorful sport. And the fact that we played the national title in like a big warehouse that looks like it could be a Kroger, just unfortunate.
That's not true. It's objectively untrue.
What's objectively untrue?
Like we've been talking. You and I have been talking for the past. We haven't been going 10 minutes, but we've been cutting Jameson out. But I can't stand for the Indianapolis slander. Like I guess not professionally educated, but I've taken classes on like urban planning and stuff. And this is like something that I know and that I've studied. And Indy is widely recognized as one of the best sports venues because they have housing, amenities for people other than the thing, public transport, transport accessibility, and stadium experience. You're upset about the experience because do you know what Indy doesn't have in their stadium that a lot of other places have? It's lighting on the crowd. Indy looks really weird on TV because the crowd is kind of blacked out almost compared to a lot of other stadiums, and it makes the atmosphere seem weird on TV. But it is, I've never been in person, but it's widely regarded by experts to be a very good world-class venue. A lot of other people, when they're building these things, look at the Indy model and sort of how they're going to build their sports venues. So, and I like the architecture of it as well. I think it fits the city, but it's whatever. If you're like a guy that likes the Vegas model where you're going to put a giant like black like folded up piece of shiny paper in the middle of a desert and think that's a cool stadium, then whatever. But
hey, don't diss the big room.
It's cool.
Yeah. It's about the money, but my only disappointment is we only saw Ladd McConkey like one time. I needed more McConkey. They would have won by like 80 if they just continuously played Ladd McConkey. So
the new Hunter Renfrow.
So it's subjectively untrue. That's funny. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, let's just wrap this up. If you had to describe this college football season in like a sentence, how would you describe it, Jameson? What's going to? Or let me just ask you this: what's your biggest takeaway from this year? What are you always going to remember as a whole about this college football season?
Thanks for changing the question because I was really struggling to think of a sentence to say about this college football season. But what I'm really going to take away from this is just it's a new era. It's really what it is, and people want to say that Oklahoma football. I mean, if we're talking in reference to Oklahoma football for this, is it's the players, all this stuff. Yes, it is. But guess what? Whenever you lose your coach, there's going to be a downfall for a little bit, no matter what, because all of your recruiting is going to get set back. We're trying to, cover our ass right now and trying to scramble and try to stop the hemorrhage with the transfer portal and getting a lot of transfers, but we're bringing in a new system. And we're, bringing in a bunch of new players. So it's going to be a little bit of a transition. So it's going to be remembered as, obviously the turning of the guard, but it's not going to be all positive. So let's not keep on pushing sunshine here because even though it's a lot of fun seeing Venables, it's going to be tough probably next year.
Yeah, no, agreed. And there'll be some growing pains. And I'll say this, there's this thing on Twitter where people say you never want to be the main character on Twitter for that day where everyone just roasts you the entire time because you're the one who screwed up. OU was the main character of this college football season, even though Georgia's the national title. And that's not really a good thing. We, obviously had the quarterback change. We were on the front lines of a lot of weird NIL transfer portal stuff. Obviously, Lincoln Riley leaving was the catalyst for a lot of coaches leaving before early signing day. Just like kind of the Thunder getting hammered by every single change in the NBA somehow adversely hurting the OKC, like not cap smoothing in 2016, and just countless changes. OU kind of got hit with a lot of stuff in terms of just a lot of the madness of college football. But so I guess my one wish for OU is don't be as dramatic next year and just be normal. Just be normal. It'd be nice because I'm tired. But anyways, Ty, how would what's going to be your takeaway from this college football season?
Yeah, I guess if I had to sort of compile it into one sentence, really, I think the season really mirrors sort of OU's when you look at the trajectory, and to put it in sort of one sentence or one lyric even, as Jay-Z said in No Church in the Wild, is pious because God loves pious.
Wait, was that a question, or do you want?
No, that was the summary of the season in one sentence.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, there we go. I love it.
No reaction.
I don't know.
Like, ugh.
Well, I mean, it was actually a question. Like your quote was a question, so I wasn't sure if you wanted me to actually answer it.
That was actually it was nice because I gave my 1-sentence summary, and then we had our moment of silence for Antonio Brown, the greatest football player to ever play. Thank you.
Thank you. What if we could get AB on the pod? He's not doing anything else, right? I don't know what he'd want to talk about, but hey, man,
that's straight bipolar right there.
Look, we're about to hit the off season. I'll do anything for the numbers, including have AB on the pod. But all right, that is a book closed on 2021-22. We have no more football until Nebraska Northwestern, which is being played in Ireland for some reason. So it's going to be a long gap, folks, till week 0. But look, college football never sleeps, and that is especially the case in the age of the transfer portal, where everything's buzzing, and that is especially the case at Oklahoma. A lot of rumors, obviously, around Caleb Williams, stuff like that, but we do have a couple things for sure to talk about. And Jameson, can you give us a little bit of a rundown on what's been the goings on in the portal, in terms of outgoings, maybe some rumblings on some incomings? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, let's just talk with guys leaving first, because we can speculate at the end of the pod. But I think Latrell McCutcheon leaving really hurts. This is a guy that we kind of pegged as an island corner that is 6'1", is long, and we can just have him just do his thing. And that is a position we really haven't had at OU, and I can't think of a kind of guy that's had his skill set. And him leaving hurts for sure. And it makes you think just a little bit. I understand our new corners coach, from Alabama. Is it Valai? Is that how you pronounce it? Jay Valai?
Valai. I don't know.
What do we want to roll with, guys? We screw up names all the time. Let's all stand together on his name.
Jay.
Should I even Google it, or should we just go with?
Okay.
It is pronounced Jay Valai. So
Valai.
We're going to pronounce it.
Cool.
So we're gonna pronounce it Jay Valai. I'm kidding. Okay, it will be Valai.
Yeah. Okay. So Jay Valai, he was at Texas, recruiting for the cornerbacks position whenever Latrell McCutcheon, coming out of Austin, was a recruit. And if you remember, if you kind of take yourself back to recruiting corners back in those times, Latrell McCutcheon wasn't even considering Texas coming out of Austin because he was so mad about how he was not recruited as much. So him coming in to be the cornerbacks coach, I don't know how much of it really is because of that, but there might be a little bit, in the back of his head, this guy disrespected me. I've been disrespected here a lot by Alex Grinch to end this season. I just need to go somewhere fresh.
Yeah, where, you're not either being under-recruited or underplayed, which is clearly a thing. I mean, after that Texas game where he just got roasted, he was kind of MIA. But, I don't know. He's a guy who, I don't know. It sucks to see him leave because he definitely has the intangibles and definitely has the archetype of someone who could be a great cornerback. But, that's just a part of it. When you have a reset in the coaching staff, there you go. That's just how it be, I guess.
Yeah, but overall, it's going to be a good thing having Valai as the cornerbacks coach. Obviously, his stock is going up and up, and he's a guy that had professional teams had their eyes on him last offseason, and instead went to Alabama and obviously did really well there in a season where they had just lost, Pat Surtain and had a lot of holes in that secondary, and they played pretty well. I would like to say, obviously making it to the national championship, but. Let's kind of talk about some other guys. We can kind of speculate a little bit on the guys coming in because that's kind of what's more fun now. We'll continue to see guys enter into the transfer portal, but hopefully not as many for the next couple weeks because of classes starting up. But we'll start to see a lot more commits from these guys in the portal coming to OU because of how pivotal it is to not start a semester late. And Ty, when does OU classes start up?
That is probably something that I should know.
No, Ty, you go to school there.
I believe maybe the day after or the day before my flight lands back here in Oklahoma. I think.
So in a week. So on the 18th. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think that's it.
That sounds right.
Let's go with it. So
yeah, because OU has MLK Day off. That's the whole reason why we did, like, one of the main reasons why we did the bachelor party. This weekend.
18th.
So we're talking. Let's just talk about obviously the biggest name that could be coming to OU. I guess not the biggest name, and it's probably not that big of a chance, but I think there's a lot of fun things to talk about with Jackson Dart here. Obviously with him going to the transfer portal, it's quite the smoking gun. Seeing Caleb Williams visiting there, pictures leaking of him being in his jersey, certain sites kind of hinting to where that he's going to be the next quarterback. We're just waiting for an announcement at USC. And but the quarterback in waiting, hitting the transfer portal before Caleb Williams even committing there is very, very telling in my opinion. He's a guy right now for the 247 transfer portal rankings. He's like a 5-star, like a 9.95 like rating, like the number 3 overall player in the transfer portal. So this guy is not, just some run of the mill quarterback this is a really big target, and there's going to be a lot of schools that want him. And if Oklahoma wants a chance to get him, which I think is very unlikely, they're going to have to really push, but I could see a team like Georgia going after him hard.
I've definitely heard rumblings about Jackson Dart, to a number of places. Oklahoma would be a bit of a weird fit because of Dylan Gabriel, which, by the way, I don't know if y'all have seen this, but I saw one sports book release their odds for the Heisman Trophy next year, like way too early odds, and they actually put Dylan Gabriel ahead of Caleb Williams. So that, I don't know. I hopefully Vegas knows something, because that feels kind of good. I don't know. It would be kind of fun to see. I don't know. That's kind of funny to see Dylan Gabriel over Caleb, but
has Texas found a quarterback to replace what's his name, Casey Thompson?
Twin Ewers.
So they have
pretty big.
Yeah. So looking at
the number 1 overall player in the country in the last, not this recruiting class, but the last one.
Just looking at Dart's sort of recruiting history on 247, pretty much everyone he talked to or was interested in was a pretty academically elite school, if that makes sense. Like he has, Penn, Yale, those, aren't uncommon. And he did have, I guess, some talk with Arizona State, but then like UCLA, USC, obviously BYU, because he's from Utah. So I think, Texas or something like that probably does make a little bit more sense. Maybe even Florida than like a Georgia, Oklahoma. But you never know. Maybe he's fully football focused now.
Yeah.
Jameson, the man's got an arm. Like he's like really. I mean, this guy can be talented. He doesn't have the dual threat of Caleb Williams, but still, like this guy can
great
be really
football
special.
name.
Jackson Dart is a great
Jackson with a dart to Jackson with a dart to Drake Stoops for a touchdown. Yeah.
It's pretty good. I like it. I like it a lot. But, Jameson, are your dogs doing okay?
Yes, they're doing fine. They're just being needy. I'm just out here in the living room, not in my room. But let's talk about a little bit more. I think a huge name as of recently, as we record this on Tuesday night, that's extremely interesting. Jackson Dart's kind of a pipe dream, obviously, but we like to talk about quarterbacks. But the one I'm most excited about seeing in the portal, things that we've heard about throughout the season is, Drew Sanders, and you had a tweet about this, Bobby. Like, this was a guy that was committed to OU for like a year and a half out of Denton, Texas. 5-star outside linebacker, defensive end, kind of edge rusher guy. Also, when we recruited him as a tight end, and whenever you're committed to a school that long and then kind of flip at the end to Alabama, and now you're in the transfer portal, I'm looking hard at OU here. I mean, it makes sense. A lot of people, whenever they hit the portal, they like to go closer to home. Just because if you didn't have a lot of stability at the college that you were at, you didn't see the playing time that you had, going somewhere closer to home gives you stability, outside of football. And also you can go to a team like OU that has a new coaching staff where they're still evaluating everyone. Everyone's probably on, even though there's still going to be some, how you played last season, who started last season will have some priority. But for the most part, it's going to be like, what does Brent Venables and this Ted Roof and these new coaching staff think of you? And there's a wide open spot and Nick Bonito leaving, and this whole defensive line, that Drew Sanders could step right in and be a pretty big impact for Oklahoma moving forward.
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. And, no disrespect to Jamar Cain and Brian Odom, but the defensive staff that Brent Venables has built here is an attraction. In the same way that a lot of what Lincoln Riley, has brought over to USC is an attraction. I feel like that could be a place where, as a linebacker, I'm sure he'll play probably a lot of rush. That is something that would excite me as a prospect.
Get that rush word out of your brain. That is Grinch terms. We are taking rush and throwing it in the trash. We are calling it edge now.
Oh, okay, cool. Edge rush. The Lawrence Taylor thing is what I meant, but you know what I mean. I'm trying to undo it, but yeah, no. I don't know. I think like you said, that's a perfect fit, and a lot of people I think are going to hit some doom and gloom over the next couple weeks, next couple days, with some people coming out. But I think the portal will giveth a little bit, so I wouldn't be too worried.
Well, and here's the thing too, and this really helps us. And I'm not trying to stir the pot or anything else, but I didn't think that I would be saying this, in early August before we had played a snap. I never would have said this because you never know what the future holds. But remaining in the Big 12 for next season, and then presumably the season after that, potentially even, and as the years go by, that 2025 date starts to look more and more realistic. But being in the Big 12 next year is going to be huge, especially with what happened to us, because even if we make some mistakes, we're going to be one of the bigger fish in sort of the less competitive pond before we get thrown just in the ocean, because we saw the national championship again just being a rematch of the SEC championship game. I would be much more worried if we were jumping into the SEC West next year. But remaining in the Big 12, even if we have some teething problems, lose some people, we're going to be able to boost our stats and build our confidence a little bit, which will help our influx of recruits and potentially transfers, because right now the transfer portal system is the wild, wild west. So you really have, as we've seen, you have no idea what the future holds when it comes to the transfer portal. Yeah, no,
I agree. I think money-wise, they're going to try to get there in 2023, but 1 year to have, as a buffer, to get your team kind of SEC ready in a way, to start tailoring that roster how Brent Venables wants it to look like, to get that defense tailored the way, Roof and, I'm blanking on our new D-tackle coach. What's his name? Please.
Bates.
Bates, yeah, Todd Bates. To get that set is priority number one, and better to do that than kind of learning. Better to do that now and have a year than to learn on the fly. I'm fully with you on that one, Ty. But I don't know. I'm excited about the SEC still. I'm not as worried as some think, because I don't know. Maybe just dumb optimism, but yeah, I feel like, especially if they do a pod system or move Alabama and Auburn to the east or whatever they want to do, I feel like this could be a team that can compete and make runs at the SEC championships, playoffs, national championships, that sort of deal. But it starts with the portal and it starts with recruiting.
Yeah, that's for sure. I feel like a lot moving forward into the season, other guys to kind of look at in the portal. Already kind of hinted it, with Drew Sanders, but interior defensive line is huge. That is a position that we absolutely need. And it really does suck because, Perrion Winfrey was frustrating, but behind him, we just have a lot of people that are unproven and just don't have it. So there's a couple of guys to look at interior defensive line that I think we're working with. Tulane's got a defensive tackle, I believe, named Jeffrey Johnson. That's coming in to visit us here pretty soon. I'm pretty sure I saw us in the top group for the defensive tackle. That is kind of highly regarded as of recently as well. That's looking at us. And then also, I think Missouri's got a defensive lineman. I'm not sure if he's interior defensive lineman as well that's kind of highly looked after, and that's Mekhi Wingo, another name that seems to be looking at us. So
Put OU in his top 4 today.
Yes, exactly. So there's a lot of guys. He's more of a defensive end. I just looked it up. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he put us in the top group with USC, LSU, and Arkansas. But we're pushing hard at the defensive line, and I think this is a really good sign because we kind of talked about it. Brent Venables hiring, and even beforehand, a little bit worried about how Brent Venables is going to handle the transfer portal. You can be this, stand-up Dabo Swinney guy that says we don't need it, but in today's day and age, you absolutely need it. You can't be too prideful of yourself and think that you can just develop everyone from your own team, when in actuality, you got to use the resources that you have at hand.
I mean, exactly, that I feel like is the thing that if Clemson doesn't start adapting it, and they've mentioned that they will, they'll fall by the wayside. They did this year. And I think a lot of that is because of that. And that is probably one of my bigger fears with Brent, is that he has too much Dabo in him in the worst ways. But I maybe not the worst ways, but
oh god,
but still not great, more in the let's do it the old way. The Jaron Connect thing was kind of thankfully worked out in the end, but if we would have fully lost that guy, turned him away, specifically we're not going to give you a scholarship, then that would have been unfortunate. But I don't know. I think they've handled it pretty well.
I kind of disagree. I would almost argue that Venables is hopefully picked up some of the best stuff about Dabo without picking up some of the higher end negatives, like the transfer portal thing. Because right now our presumed starting quarterback next season is from the portal, and I think that Venables is, not that it's a bad thing for Dabo, but I think Venables, it already seems like, is going to be a lot more trusting in his coordinators, and in what they want to do decision-wise and personnel-wise than Dabo, who is a little bit more hands-on in that department, So hopefully, but again, it's much too early to see, After Venables got hired, the only person that's coached since the Venables hire is Bob Stoops. So I guess we will see, but Venables did spend much more time under Stoops, arguably including now, than he did under Dabo. So
that's true, and I think he'll be just fine. Don't get me wrong; I'm not trying to doom and gloom it, especially when the guy hasn't coached a game yet, or remotely done in, even in off season. I don't know how that, if he's fully taken the reins yet. I don't know what he's done. I assume he's been given the visor, so there's that.
It might be a NCAA rules thing at this point, to the extent that he has, taken hands on with the program. So
yeah, and I mean, obviously he's been recruiting, so there's that. But we haven't gotten the OU football Twitter post that's let's get to work right now. Then Brent is just doing stuff. Yeah, I don't know. But
I would be remiss, Bobby. I'm sorry to cut you off here on the defensive line.
Oh, no,
before we kind of move on.
Good.
I almost forgot. Us landing Hawaii's defensive lineman, Jonah Laulu, I believe it is, was huge. Absolutely huge. We're talking about interior defensive lineman. Man, that is a position we really need, and he's a guy who's big time. Whenever Georgia's a team that's going after a guy in terms of the transfer portal, and he lands at Oklahoma with little, didn't seem like we had to do too much convincing, kind of didn't take his time and kind of just hopped into the Oklahoma boat. That's big. And the Hawaii pipeline is starting a little bit with Jocelyn Allo leading the charge next to Dylan Gabriel.
I would love it if Jocelyn Allo and Gabriel became the lead recruiters for the Hawaii pipeline. It'd be beautiful. I'm with you on that. Speaking of which, I'm excited for softball. Seeing Allo and them back, it'll be nice. It'll be a nice little breather. But yeah, no, I mean, you're right. That is massive, massive. And I gotta say, not only is it fun to have a Hawaii athlete on our team, but we also now have the rarest of rare, a Yosef OU mix with TD Roof, Ted Roof's kid, transferred in, linebacker. Don't know if we'll ever really see the field, but we do have an App State OU hybrid, which is the coolest thing for me. I'm just happy to see it. So our Joseph Love is paid off.
Quick fun fact. This might be some sort of record. I have no idea how you would track this down, but next year we will have 3 different coaches' sons playing on the team, which is kind of interesting with Drake, and then that guy who, interestingly enough, has played at several 4 different schools now, I think, much like his dad. His coaching career, he's played at a lot of different places.
Is it going to be Venables, Roof, and Stoops? Is that the 3?
I think Venable's kids are staying in Clemson though.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Oh, are they?
I feel like I've seen they're staying at Clemson. So I think it actually might just be Roof and Stoops. But the more coaches' kids we get, the more Clemson-y we become. I feel like they have a billion.
Apparently one of his sons is, what was this, an old article? No, one of his sons is just not playing anymore and is becoming an assistant coach, and then one of them has not moved yet, but is presumed to be following.
So we have like a double Isaac Roof situation.
Yeah, according to SI on December 7th, one of his. So who knows?
Yeah, Jameson, is that all we have for the portal? I think we've kind of tapped the well dry.
Well, we got to touch on
it. There's a couple of other ones, Ty, that you want to hit, but I'll just say the names and let's move on to what Ty said. Kyron Lacey is a wide receiver from LSU that we're working on. There's a couple other small names, but there's going to be a lot. So yeah, Ty, what do you got?
Oh, I thought we were going to talk about, just touch on a little bit. I don't think we've covered sort of presumed outgoing people from the portal.
Well, I for one don't know who you'd be talking about. Who
is that a bit or is that
yes, it's a bit.
Okay.
So Caleb Williams update, and we need to make it.
Yeah. Caleb Williams update. We've been waiting on him to just pull the trigger and let us down. It's probably going to happen. It's probably going to be USC. Let's just be honest. It's going to be USC. We've just been waiting to do the emergency pod, but let's be honest. He's gone. He's gone. Just give up the ghost.
How dare he? We've been waiting this whole week to record our podcast right after Caleb Williams news breaks. And what is he doing? He already has his decision made, and he's making us wait. How dare he? He needs to think about us, Bobby.
He has no regard for podcast schedules, and I don't appreciate it. Not a single regard for pods.
We'll probably still go live after he posts something, but still. I mean, I feel like that's been a fun thing we've been doing recently. So,
and there's another Williams, right?
Our lives are fun. The CW Williams at USC, or Mario Williams.
Mario Williams.
So we still think Mario and Caleb are a package deal, Jameson, or
I don't know. The thing is, the news was Mario was a guy that he had talked throughout the season that he was homesick and that he was probably going to hit the transfer portal. Anyways, no matter what with this Caleb Williams news, could have probably been convinced to stay, but it was a guy that was considering, going to the portal. And now you see him take a visit to USC. USC really can't go farther away from his home all the way in South Florida to Southern California. That ain't homesick. So what was he actually pushing us? Or is the money talking?
I think the money has to talk because I would argue that the number one receiver in the previous draft, what am I saying, recruiting class, it's basically a draft at this point, in the previous class is arguably more valuable than the number one receiver in this year's class because they already have a year of experience, a year of grind, even though he never got thrown the football, which is, curious to want to go back to Lincoln in a system that, couldn't get you the damn ball. Yeah, I get the allure, but I don't know. We've gotten a lot of mixed signals. Caleb to USC was not even an option when it first started because we thought he and his family were pissed at him. Now they look to be in love with him again. So it's a mess, but what are you gonna do? These guys committed to Lincoln Riley. The class was Link Up 21. It was about Lincoln Riley. That's okay. And if they want to play for him, let him go play for a subpar roster that, just frankly is not that great. So, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what Lincoln does with a worse roster and, the same potential questionable, play calling that we've seen at times. And especially the motivation tactics of, I don't know, a piece of cardboard. Go ahead, Ty. I haven't been talking.
No, I was just going to say real quick. While you guys were talking, I was doing some 247 analysis again, and Mario Williams was offered by Levy at Ole Miss, and he chose not to go there. So, I mean, if we're really reading into who he wants to play for, he has already made the decision once before between Lincoln Riley and Jeff Levy. So I would not be surprised, if he not even makes the decision again, but sort of reaffirms his decision that he's made. Obviously, Levy at Ole Miss is different than Levy at OU, but with all the turnover and then especially with, a presumptive Caleb Williams exit, it does make a lot of sense that Mario Williams would go to the coach that he originally chose to play for, with the quarterback that he originally chose to play for as well.
Yeah, for sure. Gotta say, shout out to Joe, who's giving us all of the important OU basketball updates because it's on Longhorn Network, and we can't really watch it. So, no knee socks for Bijan Cortez tonight, which is unfortunate because gotta love the knee socks. It fit him well. I guess he got enough VC for better socks, but yeah, I don't know. I'm just ready for all of this, fallout to be over. We can move on to the future with the guys we have, everyone's set, and get ready for spring ball. So, even though I love the numbers that these pods put up about Caleb and all the drama, I'm ready to talk about football again. Jameson, any final thoughts on that before we move on?
I don't know what football you're going to be talking about now that we're heading into the off season. So we're going to be trying to pull content wherever we can. So the transfer portal will be very generous to us on that end. So I'm going to live it up. Honestly, it sucks losing a lot of these guys. A lot of these guys we're really, really excited about. I've been pumping Mario Williams this whole season. He's the guy that I said that he honestly was my wide receiver one on this team because I was kind of curious who else on this team could get open off the line of scrimmage. Marvin Mims can run deep routes, but is he the guy getting open off the line of scrimmage? Jane Hazelwood obviously lost his lateral quickness. Mario Williams was huge. I mean, there's a reason he was a freshman All-American. So that one really hurts me deep down, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, no, I mean, it does. All of them hurt. That's just kind of the new reality of college football, though. When you have a coach leave, everyone else can leave, too. And, I think that's why OU focusing this whole new era around OU's brand and what OU football means as a whole, the whole Stoops program guy, no guy's bigger than the program, that's probably how it should be for just about everyone in college football. Because, and again, that won't save you from, having this happen. Like if they said the same thing and Lincoln left, maybe that wouldn't save everything, but I think it would help. I think guys would, hopefully commit to Oklahoma for Oklahoma. But, yeah, I think that's all we got to talk about in the portal. There'll be a lot more to it. So keep an eye on the eventual Caleb Williams emergency pod. But, Jameson, Ty, other than that, I guess we got OU basketball. They've been pretty fun. I've enjoyed them. Make sure to get out to the LNC if you haven't watched them yet. I would advise you to watch them on TV, but, well, one, if you aren't watching live, the game has already happened, and two, nobody has Longhorn Network. So hopefully this is a win. They need to be damn ranked. But, Jameson, quick little basketball thought. What do you think on the team this year? I haven't really asked you a question about that.
Honestly, it's a lot of fun because, like we kind of talked about, past time, like this is one of the most 10 turnover of people, 10 new players, I think it is the number of that. Like that's honestly ridiculous. And the way we play a 5-out system, who doesn't like that? Honestly, it sucks not getting offensive rebounds, but what everyone's a threat on the court to score and can shoot the three, it's a lot of fun. We've got a pretty feisty team. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't know how much I see us as a high ceiling team, but man, we have a high floor.
Yeah, no, they're a fun, scrappy team that'll make the tournament and win some games they probably shouldn't win. And I don't know, I see them as the classic Sweet 16 at best type of Lon Kruger team that he had towards the end. But knowing our luck, we'll probably end up getting Gonzaga in the second round. So, anyways,
it would be better. I would like to see Chet play against this team. It'd be a lot of fun.
It would be fun. Well, I mean that would be fun, but I don't want to lose to Gonzaga, early. I've done that before. Gonzaga, whatever. I don't know. Ty, any thoughts on basketball or final thoughts in general?
Yeah, I like the guy with the beard. I like our new coach too. I actually spoke to him very, very briefly at the spring game. He was like whipping around on a golf cart with his younger son. And I said hi to him. I think I was the only one that sort of recognized him as he was sort of pulled up by one of the entrance gates to the stadium. But yeah, I don't really follow basketball. I like to watch it in person. I think it's cool to have a team that you don't really care about, but it's kind of scrappy, and can have some cool upsets. It's a different experience than cheering for OU football for sure. Yeah,
for sure. It's a fun time, and like you said, it's different because they're kind of always the underdog. You don't expect them to win every time, and I think that's fun. But anyways, this was supposed to be a short little pod. Ended up going 46 minutes because that's just how we do it. But Jameson, Ty, this was a very fun podcast, and appreciate y'all coming on not on short notice, but just on a Tuesday where we had to get an episode in.
Thanks for doing our job.
Yeah, good job on doing your job. But I don't know. I think the best thing we can hope for going forward is that we don't do a intoxicated podcast on bachelor party weekend.
That's a good idea.
Wait,
do you remember
the days, Bobby? Doing these sober?
What's that?
Right. Bobby used to have a special pay-for service that he used to offer in the early Schooner Pod days. Special post-game with Bobby. Pay any amount you want to get free access to Bobby's thoughts after the game. If we can get a decent amount of more subscribers and a little bit more inflow, maybe we can bring that content back to the viewers, because I knew that was a fan favorite.
Well, hey, I gave him the Alamo Bowl recap where I was had some drinks. But that wasn't as interesting because I wasn't mad. The first one was after we almost lost to OSU. I was walking back to
no, we did lose to OSU.
No. This was
okay, never mind.
This was year one. Yeah, I did it walking back on the way to the house from OU, just screaming into my iPhone. It was horrible quality. The fact that people paid money for it, I feel bad about that. But
well, if you want that kind of stuff, offer us. Send us something, and we can try to get that content out for y'all next season. And I know we got a lot of new listeners and everything. So once again, subscribe to us. We'll be putting content out every single week for the whole off season. We'll think of some creative things. Ty and Bobby are extremely creative people. Think of kind of cool little niche things to talk about this off season. And Ty's shaking his head. Come on, you'll think of something really clever to do. But we'll have things lined up, and we'll keep content pumping for y'all.
We should create our own. What was the robot name? We need to do our own Hitchbot.
Oh no,
Hitchbot. Can we create our own Hitchbot and see how far it goes?
I don't know why, but I never laughed so hard on a podcast whenever we were talking about poor Hitchbot.
I still have the video we made about Hitchbot just hanging out, on my desktop somewhere. I need to re-upload that for some of our newer viewers. But all right, guys, thanks for coming on the show. As always, it was great, and we will see y'all soon. Hopefully not too soon, because I'd be pretty mad if we recorded this and then Caleb dropped the hammer on us.
He will.
But
he will immediately tomorrow morning. He will.
The announcement is going to come in an hour. Watch. But yeah, that was the show. Thank you all so much for listening. As always, we'll see you soon. Boomer Sooner, everybody.